In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only whores.
No law will stop abortion. No one but the owner of the womb has any fucking rights over that womb. While I'm here and angrier than I thought, TBH, no reason is owed to any fucker as to why you had an abortion. Ever!
Hashtag my body, my choice. Hashtag Roe v. Wade.
Less than one generation of immigration from Iran and she's already a brave defender of infanticide. No one but the owner of the womb has any rights over the womb, huh? Alright, before I ask your husband what he thinks should be done with his property, I'm going to state that this is the inevitability of the Western leftist Enlightenment culture. It doesn't matter even if you come here from a country where Islam is the law of the land and religion is literally codified into your books. Within a single generation, your women will turn against you and be actively shrieking about their ability to end your bloodlines on an institutional level that will end in the death of your race and culture. Speaking of which, looks like her husband has made a decision.
Come on, resistor sisters, we have to fight for our rights. Vote and protest. My body, my choice.
Hashtag Blue Oasis. Hashtag women's rights. Hashtag my body, my choice.
Holy moly, boys. Back down. We got some resistor sisters beating the war drum of baby killing out here, ready to nag us to death. No, seriously. That's the extent to which women are capable of fighting. What these shrill harpies and the true believers in the power of democracy have forgot over the last few decades of Zog mind poison is that women having rights and fighting through the power of casting a ballot is a lot like a female cop putting handcuffs on a male suspect. She can only have the power to cuff him because he lets her. And if he decides to walk away or even lift his arms above his head, high enough that she can't reach them, there is literally nothing she can do to detain him. The problem is that much like the police force voluntarily handicapping themselves by giving women a badge to show how morally superior they are for exercising the great sacrament of equality, giving women the right to vote benefits society nothing and only gains a country entire generations of women pulling the classic hissy fit of holding her ovaries hostage on a massive political scale. The
Hashtag French.
Pulling no punches in this political cartoon.
Hashtag abortion is healthcare. Hashtag women's rights.
Overturning
Hashtag Roe v. Wade.
won't stop,
Hashtag abortion.
but it will.
Hashtag kill. Hashtag women. Hashtag delete. Hashtag lead rising.
Who killed these brave women in the picture? Fat phobia and anti-free bleeding too? Looks like we have a real misogynist on our hands. I have had an abortion. Not because of rape, not because of incest, not to save my life. Because I didn't want to carry a child I didn't want. By a man I didn't love. I do not regret it. I will not be scarlet lettered.
Hashtag my body, my choice. Hashtag abortion rights. Hashtag vote below.
You live in a time, space, and place where it is easier for a mass plurality of what used to be called the fairer sex to tear their own baby to pieces, limb by limb from within inside their own womb, than to show even the smallest modicum of responsibility and not fuck some douchebag off of Tinder so they can get a free meal with a couple of cocktails. Our big brain rationalizations have led us to believe that doing something as trivial as branding and shaming people like this for committing acts of abomination so that others may learn this shit ends entire tribes, and maybe the person themselves may gain a sense of regret and repentance, are wrong and mean. Instead, these reprobates and the people that would have learned from their ostracizing boldly proclaim they are without regret that might have saved them. And instead of wearing the scarlet letter in this life, their names will be written on hell's guest list and scarlet in the next.
Why in the hell does anyone believe that they have the right to tell a grown-ass woman whether or not she can have an abortion? Seriously, if they are not housing the uterus in question, what they think, feel, or believe is as irrelevant as their unsolicited opinion.
Hashtag fresh words.
The products of radical individualism and the final result of self-worship have brought the entire European racial group to the brink of extinction. It wasn't even that long ago that people understood they had a duty as part of a community to give more than you take, so that the pool of resources never actually dried up. They understood that as a steward there were certain things you had rights over and certain things you didn't. This shrill, unlovable genetic dead end believes that she has the right to do whatever she wants, and no one has the right to tell her not to, no matter how retarded, backwards, dysgenic, or destructive. You know, I wonder what the consequences would be if people had the same attitude on a society-wide scale. Regretting your transition as a transgender person is okay. Forcing others in the law to stop transitions due to your experience isn't okay. Regretting your abortion as someone with a uterus is okay. Forcing others in the law to stop abortions due to your experience isn't okay. 5 years ago, this roundabout, the extremism is the bad part argument was that regretting participating in a sodomite standard fuck party is okay, but forcing others in the law to prevent sodomites from having a standard fuck party in their own bedroom isn't okay. The be moderate on everything crowd spent the last 3 years slipping from it's not my business what they do in their bedrooms to Florida's governor shouldn't be able to tell AIDS apostle teachers that they can't tell their students about what they shove up their ass. It is my great disappointment that anyone needs to be reminded there is no such thing as moderate sin. Because I wanted to is enough of a reason to have an abortion. No questions asked. No one owes anyone a unique medical or emotional explanation. I was going to make a sarcastic joke about a murderer giving the reason of because I wanted to and not owing a unique medical or emotional explanation, but the problem is that this is the exact situation we find ourselves in. For some reason, because I wanted to is such a powerful argument in the great Satan that it can justify infanticide, the castration of males that fetishize being viewed as the opposite sex, giving mastectomies, frankencocks, and shitty chin-strap beards to females that want to cosplay as males, cutting off your son's cock and making jokes about dilating your son's infected axe wound on national television, cutting off your perfectly functioning limbs because you don't feel like they belong, along with honestly whatever other dysfunctional thing you can think of. In the current year, when you can choose to be or do anything you want, a majority of proles choose to be the emblems of their own decline and displayed out in public. I wonder what this tranny freak does in his home. Let's take a visit. What is inaccurately referred to as, quote, a beating heart are pulsating embryonic cardiac cells. Journalists, our job is to report the facts, not parrot anti-abortion talking points and anti-science rhetoric. We must do better. A group of cardiac cells pulsating together at regular intervals. What's that organ called again? Despite your job being to report the facts, journalists have done nothing but lie with a smile and efficiently distribute propaganda to the email addresses, homepages, newspapers, and televisions of American retards that can't distinguish Marvel movies from real life. A quick visit through your Twitter timeline reveals you're no exception to the rule, and the words in your mouth are clearly not your own. But like most women these days, if a man gave you enough money, you don't think twice about anything you put in there, and your boss is no exception. Can we stop the myth that abortion is universally traumatizing? I had an abortion, and the only traumatic thing about it was dealing with the protesters outside Planned Parenthood. I have no regrets. I needed no therapy. Residency and med school were far more traumatic than my abortion. My abortion did not make me some wanton vestige of a woman. It made me able to live my life the way I wanted to. And that was, in fact, excellent for my mental health. America's medical industry is filled with so-called doctors that believe living in a dorm room with no air conditioning and listening to lectures and taking exams is more traumatic and impactful than brutally eviscerating your own unborn child while he's still inside your body. In the great Satan, doctors who take the Hippocratic Oath to do no harm confess that infanticide is excellent for your mental health. While her name wouldn't immediately suggest it, Dr. Winter is indeed a Jew, and it makes you wonder if the reason why her and the conscience of so many others are clean is because we get our notion that a baby isn't a baby until it's actually outside of the vagina from Sanhedrin 72b of the Talmud. Now, it's time to take a look at that bio.
Ashley G. Winter, board certified urologist plus sex medical doctor, associate editor, Sex Med Review, @JSexMed, #NYMed Season 2, user my own she, her.
It won't be long until Americans will have to go to third world countries for their medical needs just based on the fact that the medical industry here is devolving into a backwards witch doctor practice, where instead of a Bantu dancing around a fire spinning around an albino's head on a rope, it's a Jewess with horn-rimmed glasses dancing around a Playmate cooler full of aborted baby body parts and swinging around sex toys at your toddler. Maybe there's more to the story, though. Let's get an inside look at how she handles patient interactions. Her clientele are probably decent, normal, everyday people. I was trying to describe different types of cock rings to the patient by pointing to various regions of my non-existent penis and scrotum, and apparently I looked so ridiculous that the patient burst out laughing uncontrollably and said,